if there was a diamond in the rough, right? What qualities do they have to possess if they don't have the data that supports that fans like their music? Like if they just have hot music and you hear it, you're like, yo, this shit is crazy, but they got no following, got no numbers. They pretty much been writing, creating these records, looking for an opportunity to meet somebody like you. Would you take a chance on that?
No, not today. You know why? Because look, the reality is whatever, I'm going to find someone, whatever I think is amazing about you, I'm going to find the identical person, the identical sound, and I'm going to put you with 50 other guys who sound similar to that or fairly close to it and look exactly like it, maybe even talk the same, maybe say the same exact same words. I'm going to find 10 other people like that on social media, and I'm going to pick the person that has the biggest following engagement. Because the reality is, there's so many people, now you're competing with the same type of people, but one guy, you have the same people, one happens to have more numbers. So why would you go with somebody who has less numbers that has the same quality?
That makes sense.
And it's not, to be honest with you, like what happens is when you find an artist, if we want the artist, hey, this guy's got fire beats. I'll go get the hottest producer in the world to make a track for him.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
If I want the biggest art, if I want Lil Baby to be on the record, I'll put Lil Baby on the record. Once you get into the major labels, it's just cutting checks.
Yeah.
So the reality is, it's better to have an artist that has the momentum, so it makes smarter sense to invest in money because you already see they're making money. Yeah. Typically what labels do now is they look at it and go, how much money is the artist making per year from their streaming royalties? They look at that number, they say it's $100,000 a year. They go, oh, he's making $100,000 a year. So if I give this person $200,000 cash right now, worst case scenario, if we don't even promote them, in 2 years they get their money back. So that's the way they look at it. They look at it as a real business.
I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire, I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire, I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I ain't gonna be a
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Johnny Vegas. Now today, I got a very special guest on my show, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a treat, so take some notes. This man is a record label executive, a publisher, CEO of What's Good Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, Tori Harrison, aka Flossy the Boss. What's up, champ?
My man, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, man. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely a pleasure.
Yeah, man, such short notice. I hit this man up on Instagram. We talked on the phone, one conversation. Boom, a week later, he's here, man.
Run.
I love it. Hell yeah. So Flossy the Boss, man. So where'd you get the name Flossy? Let's talk about that.
You know, back in the days when I first started, maybe it was like 97, 98. We started my studio in my house, and I always wore suits. So I was picking up artists from the hood wearing suits and bringing them back to the house.
Yeah.
Making music, so people would always say, why are you always flossing? Why are you always trying to dress and impress? And the flossing back in the days was a word like you're showing up or dress and fly. So pretty soon, you know, when I started my label, people were calling me the boss. So it would be Flossy the Boss.
Right.
So like, that's Flossy the Boss. That's Flossy the Boss. So that's pretty much, it stuck, and everybody called me that since. So.
I love it.
And I don't have a problem with you calling my legal name. Most people don't know it, but that's why I just Flossy. Like even my kids tell their friends this is Flossy.
Yeah.
They don't say this is my dad. They go, this is Flossy. Awesome. It's just that stuck with everybody. So
I love it, man. No, that's amazing, man. It's cool that you have a family, man. Are they into the music business as well? Or?
So none of them are really into the music. My son, he's DJing now.
Sweet.
So more EDM stuff.
Oh,
so he loves doing that. And then
producing or just DJing?
Just DJing. He's trying to produce new music. My other son, I have two sons, one daughter. My other son, just younger than him, Prodigy. He's a host of the Prodcast with Prodigy.
Hey.
So he's in the entertainment business, but just on the podcast level.
Sweet.
So he's 18 now.
Okay.
So,
sweet, man. Good stuff, brother. So walk me through your journey, man. You know, for the people who don't know, right? Because it seems like you're the puppeteer, right? The guy behind everybody that's doing everything. You're behind that. You're that machine. And that's what this show is typically about. You know, it's about getting insider information from celebs and entrepreneurs on how to become an industry professional. But I like to highlight the unsung heroes, right? The guys, you know how they always say, oh, this artist is big as hell, has this machine behind it, right? And I want to highlight those individuals because in front of the camera, there's one job, but behind the camera, there's like 200 jobs, right? So I want to walk through your journey, man. So share with the people who you are and where you come from and how you got into this business and your track record.
Well, so it's not boring. I basically
take your time.
I grew up my whole life listening to hip hop. That's all I ever knew. That's all I ever wanted to be into. They spoke my language, meaning they were talking back in the days, hip hop, rap, what they used to call it. The lyrics and melodies were all about being broke and telling stories about growing up poor.
The come up.
And so the classic artists, anyways. And today it's more about people talking about how wealthy they are, look at my jewelry, look at my girls. It wasn't like that. Yeah, it was more like, hey, they would tell stories of how they lived. The real stories. Not like, we weren't all, no one is balling when they come out the game, when you get into the game, start making money, of course you can get the nice things, but back then they would say like, look man, my house is broken down, I ain't got no money, this and that, the struggle. Right. And so that touched me because my family, we grew up dirt broke. And then
where from?
We originally, I was born in Newport Beach, was actually the place I was born. Now that's not a poor area, it's a really nice area. But parents were divorced, moved to Huntington Beach, and then my mom hopped around. It was a single mom with 5 kids at the time. I came from a family of 10. Wow. But she hopped around, worked as a cocktail waitress, and we would get evicted from place to place. And eventually we ended up in Santa Ana, a little gang territory. And we grew up poor there with a bunch of other poor people. Right. So that was kind of my started getting into trouble years, a lot of trouble. Yeah. But yeah, we grew up poor, and then listening to rap, I got into breakdancing, popping, locking, and my brother and I, and then we started rapping. We were younger, like in high school years, we rapped. We've actually we performed at our ball, our prom.
You guys had a group name back then?
TNT Fresh. My brother's name was Tyler, Tori, TNT Fresh. Fresh was the cool word back then. Right. And so we rapped corny. We were corny. I mean, me more corny than my younger brother. He was much better lyrically than I was. Yeah. But yeah, we did that, and then went through a series of just trying to work and make money, and started making a little bit of money at a job. But then I started making a lot of money at my job. I think I was like around 21 years old, making $300,000 a year. Love it. And at that time it was pretty good money. Oh yeah. But single, and so although I was making great money, I could continue to make great money, but I wasn't happy. It wasn't what I wanted to do, and so I decided I wanted to do something in music. Didn't know what it was because I didn't know what I wanted to do either. Like I just wanted to be in that industry. Yeah, somehow. So I figured, you know what? This is before independent label thing was cool. I started working with artists, buying gear, making music from scratch, building a studio in my apartment, making music, and then figured, okay, what can I do? I went to the couple. They didn't have the internet. So do a phone book, call Atlantic Records, call Warner Brothers. Nobody would take your call. Couldn't figure out how do you even listen to these people?
Maneuver your way in.
So I figured, you know what? No one cares about me. I'm just going to go ahead and start my own. Right. And I started my own label, built a studio, and got a bigger studio, and started putting out artists myself, selling CDs door to door. Oh wow! Door to door. Yeah, CDs door to door, selling them on the streets. However we can make money, and ultimately the thing expanded, started growing, making more money, and started taking off. Yeah. And so people started knowing who I was. So, and at that point, the only way you could probably break a record back in the days was you had to be on the radio. And so I started hanging out at radio stations, going, hey, listen to my music. Well, I'm not the artist, but I mean, I have a compilation. They're mixtape, called mixtapes now. Right. But I have a compilation of different artists. I would go to the hoods, like in Compton or Watts myself, and I would grab artists and say, hey, do you rap? I'm looking for rappers. And they would come and start rapping. I'd bring them back to the house and make records. I'd put them on a compilation. And then the radio station got sick of seeing me, and they finally said, come in one day. There's a college radio station in Riverside. Yeah. And they said, dude, it's a 4-hour show. Let me see what you got, because I was there every Sunday. Yeah. So they played my records.
Consistency, people.
Staying on it, and then they played my record. But what I realized right then, everyone started calling me like, damn, you're on the radio, you're on the radio. And I'm like, I got to do more of this. This is how it's going to work. And then I started going to the bigger stations, and then please listen to my record. And then I basically got the DJ's bank account. Yeah. So shot him some money. Said, hey, play my record. Next thing you know, bam, 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 bam. And my record started to move. And I started working with, what the story was, the .com era came up.
Yeah.
Bunch of companies are really buying into these websites. This is when the internet's brand new. And this company was doing music. It's called Music Blitz. And they wanted to do music. They saw that I was selling these CDs, compilations, and making money. And they go, hey, dude, I don't know how I ran to the guy, but he goes, I like what you're doing. If you can make one for me, because they weren't selling music on the internet at the time.
Right.
He goes, make one for my website. We'll sell it on my website. I'll give you $50,000. Wow. Keep in mind, that's crazy money for me at the time.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. And he goes, but we need someone famous on it. Keep in mind, I didn't know anybody in the music business. I didn't know anybody famous.
Right.
And so I asked everybody, and all the people I worked with from the streets.
Yeah.
They didn't know anybody famous, but on the streets, we all have tentacles.
Right.
We have our antennas up. So-and-so's working with so-and-so. So I said, hey, dude, whoever finds me this, an artist, I'm gonna break you off. So everybody kept their eye out. I was actually looking for Corrupt. At the time, he was my favorite lyricist, and I thought he would be a great combination. But he also, at the time, was probably one of the most popular artists.
Right.
Snoop and them, the Dog Pound, crushing it, top records.
Yeah.
So early, like 2 or 3 in the morning, I get a phone call from my boy Frank Nitty out of the Moreno Valley, and he calls me up, FLOSSY, Corrupt's performing with Havoc Mouthpiece for South Central Cartel in Moreno Valley. Come through. So I went over, met Corrupt. He was showing me his music, and what I was really just trying to do, whatever I got to do to get him to come to my studio, to make a record. Keep in mind, I don't even know the language or understand like what's proper, what's not. So I'm just like, while he's playing music, hey bro, check this out. I need you to come to my studio. I'm gonna make you a record. Which, like, I wouldn't advise anybody to do that because it's super corny.
Right.
But he goes, yeah, but he was drinking, having a good time. And he goes, yeah, he gave me his number, which is cool. I wasn't like super excited, like, oh my God, I'm meeting Corrupt. Although inside I was feeling that way, but I wasn't. My objective was get him to the studio so I can get the bag.
Yes.
So as excited I was to meet him, I was more excited about next mission, get him over to the studio.
Right.
So it was during the Up in Smoke tour, so they were super busy, traveling city to city.
Yep.
Corrupt was blowing me off like crazy, not answering his phone, this and that. There was no text back then. So I kept leaving voicemails like a stalker.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't know where you're at, And finally I caught him. Snoop didn't live too far from my house. He lived in Claremont at the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, dude, I'm leaving Dog's house right now. I'll come. Like he was irritated when I called him. Like, bro, I'm gonna come through right now. It better be fire.
Right.
So I brought the crew down. I had live musicians, piano players, guitar players, vocalists, and I had songs that were already templated so they could, with a hook on it or whatnot.
So he just needs to put his verses.
Yeah, and if he didn't like it, we'll make one right there on the fly. We'll write it, we'll produce it. We were ready to do it. So guitarist, everything. So he came through. We did 3 tracks. He was lost his mind, and then he came back. And then he's like, "Hey, I want you to start working out, producing it. I'm doing an album. I want you to help me produce it."
Wow.
So he introduced me to Fred Rec, Battle Cat. And then I started going to and from Snoop's house, and dropping him off, picking him up. He was at my house all the time.
Right.
Started making records. We did the agreement was, I just need you to do, I'll produce these records. I just need you to give me a song so I can put it on this compilation. Yeah. So meanwhile, I'm so busy impressing him that I didn't get around to doing this song. I had all the other sons done. The guy kept saying, hey, where are we at? Where are we at? I don't want to lose this money. And so Corrupt kept saying, you know what, when I get back. And I'm like, damn, dude, this guy's I might just lose this shit right now. So he leaves on the road. We'd already done 3 songs. If we need a pause, it's no big deal. We'd already done 3 songs, back to back with him for his stuff, which was priority. He keeps saying I'm gonna get to mine. Yeah. But Corrupt was amazing freestyle artist. He would go on there, we'd put a beat on, and he would literally rap for like 4 hours straight to a beat.
Shout out Corrupt Young Gotti, baby.
Amazing talent. Probably one of the best freestyle artists who could he could crush anybody long term. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might catch him fast, but he can keep going. Most people have to stop. So we let him record a bunch of music, and while he was on the road, I go, dude, we got raps already from him. We took his vocals, made a song around it. Yeah. And I forgot this. So during this time, he really loved my business savvy, because I made it a point to read books because they didn't have the internet. Right. Buy books on entertainment law. Buy books on how to basically how to go from A to Z in the music business. Right. Everything you need to know about the music business by Donald
Passman. Yeah. I think
he
just put out another edition to that.
Yeah, and Donald Passman was a guy that the record labels, he used to hold seminars for the labels, and he taught them about the business from understanding publishing, a mechanical royalty, how your music goes in the store, what you're supposed to make. It was just the raw facts of the business. And reading it was like Chinese. There's a lot of formulas. You're like, it doesn't make sense. But when it does make sense, when you sell your first CD in a store, Tower Records, warehouse, and then Universal's distributing it, it all starts adding up. You're like, okay, this now, because I read it, I was instantly in the game. Once that, bam, I understand it. It's on a piece of paper. Thank you, Donald Passman.
Oh, yeah.
And so that guy, and I've read every book, but that guy had the best practical sense out of it.
Did you ever meet him?
Never met him. I'd love to meet him, but only because because he was very helpful for me. Because there was nothing like right now. You could Google what is publishing, find a million different things, resource it out. But back then, there was barely books about the music industry, and there was ones that people would say how to sell T-shirts and make money, and how to be a touring band. It was more corny, but Donald Passman had the facts. Yeah, kind of like basically he built a math book for our business, right? And it just at 1, 2, 3, no hype, no BS, and you can make as much as this. It wasn't even that. It was like CD, songwriters split up 100% of the publishing. Here's how you do writer share. You just break it all down. So super helpful. But because so Donald Passman, if I ever get a chance to meet you, getting a big hug from me, big help. I think you had 4 versions for the year I bought it, 4 versions that I read and caught up. If you got a new one, I will go check that out.
I think he's on the 9th one now.
Yeah, so I will go check out the 9th one. There was a period of time he took a little bit of a break, but he was probably going through the digital transition, trying to understand that. And there's still some things in the digital world that are missing. They haven't, like the money's all added up in the physical world. In the digital world, there's still monies that are missing to artists, and how they're being collected is still a little bit iffy. But their publishing companies are on the digital people every day. They're going to Congress on a regular basis trying to implement mandatory government laws to where if you play my song somewhere, you got to pay me.
Absolutely.
So they're trying to figure all that out. There's still a few missing pieces, but since I read those books and I researched them like crazy. Corrupt would talk to me about things, and I knew what I was talking about, and he was blown away. So Corrupt goes, man, you're like a lawyer. And I go, no, not really. I just try to make it a point to understand his business. And he goes, man, I need to take you with me to some of my meetings with my manager. So whatever you need, I got you. So he brings, it's important to study your craft.
Yes.
Get everything out, like whatever you need to know, get that out, the foundation. So when it hits your lap, you can really build and take advantage of it. Versus the other way, it hits you, you don't know what you're doing, and you lose the opportunity. You don't really capitalize off of it.
Stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready.
There you go. So he brings his brother Roscoe. Roscoe, I think was 14 or 15 at the time. He brings him to my house with his mom and Natina Breed, rapper, popular rapper at the time and actress. Can't remember the group. I'll think about it for a second. Okay. But brings them with them and a lawyer. They go, Floss, we love you. I sat with the mom and everything, like family. Because it's at my house. It's about a big house. They're staying at my house. The whole family's staying at my house. So they go, Flossie, we decided we'd like Roscoe to move out here, and we want you to take legal guardianship of him. Wow. So I did the paperwork, took legal guardianship of him, did the home studies, homeschooling, and everything with him. Wow. And part of the deal was you're going to stay here, I'm going to take care of you, but you're going to record every single day, all day, morning, noon, and night, man, in the studio. And this Roscoe, love Roscoe, amazing. He was basically like his brother, but the clean version. He wasn't saying all the dirty words, which made it easier for someone like me. I don't mind dirty words, but when we're selling records, it limits us. Yes. So at that time, it was like, what you hear on the radio was not allowed on radio when we entered the game. Right. You couldn't say the N-word. You couldn't reference smoking weed. You couldn't reference to weed at all. Yeah. Sex, violence, shooting. None of that stuff was just allowed because rap was becoming, for the very first time, allowed on commercial radio. Yeah. Most stations didn't play rap. So that's the world we're in. And as much as people hate Suge Knight, if it wasn't for Suge Knight literally roughing up people, forcing them to play the gangster records, they wouldn't have played records, gangster records that we have today on the radio. So as much as people are down on Suge Knight, I love Suge Knight because he kind of opened the door for a lot of people, including myself. I give him a lot of credit for me being able to do that, to take my song to a radio station and them not to go, hey, dude, we can't play that on radio.
Right.
So ultimately, we're making records with Roscoe, and we make a record, but at the same time, going back and forth with Snoop, and everyone's like family. It's really cool. Meet everybody in the dog pound, the camp, Nate, everybody, and we're making records for Snoop to hopefully get Snoop to use these records.
Yeah.
We sent him a record he was supposed to do. In the meantime, Roscoe said, "I'll just get on this record." Roscoe gets on this record. The song was a smash. So I bring it to Capitol Records, I bring it to Priority Records, first time ever to a label. And show him the record, Brian Turner, the owner of the label. He was the one, if you watch Straight Outta Compton, where Ice Cube gets mad about the money, smashes up his office.
That was the guy?
Brian Turner. He later becomes a very good friend of mine, still is to this day.
Nice.
He produced and put out The First Friday.
Okay.
So, and then Step Up or whatever.
Yeah, the dance movies.
Yeah, he did those in the beginning. But anyway, so he says, I want this song. So we end up doing a deal, getting Roscoe $1 million deal for a single, an album.
Yeah.
And the song became a smash hit and like an anthem. The song was called I Love Cali. I love Cali in the summertime.
Hey.
I love it.
Hey.
So it became like an anthem. Every summer they played it. So now I'm in a record label, talking to them, cutting me checks. That song, so they, because of Donald Passman, I was offered a publishing deal. During this time, it's hard to like bring everything in to try to keep one point. During this time, I happened to fly in different people, like a great singer. Hey, I know so-and-so, he's a great singer from New York. I would fly him in. I'm not making money but other than selling CDs. Fly him in because he can sing, and I'm trying to make hits. Dude can sing like somebody could freestyle.
Yeah.
But hey, I got this concept, he would sing it. Like, fire.
Yeah.
Like in a second. So I had him in the studio, he would stay at my house. He happened to be with best friends with Trigger the Gambler and Smooth the Hustler from back in the days. So now I'm on the phone with those guys. Now I'm meeting more people. And those guys were close. And he was also close with Def Jam in New York. So he would go in their office on a regular basis. He introduces me to Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti was like me at the same time.
Yeah.
He wasn't really doing a whole lot. He was kind of getting in the business. And he was also with Mona Scott.
Okay.
And they had
Who produces VH1 shows now.
Yes, for Love and Hip Hop.
Got it.
And she had Violator Records with Busta Rhymes. And so they were just getting their thing going. At the time,
Life Lady.
so I ended up meeting all these guys. And what would happen, because every week, I didn't want to bug them. And their artists were starting to do good. Ja Rule was in a group at the time, before he went single.
Yep.
And they had their office, Violator Records was starting to make noise. And Busta Rhymes starting to come into the scene really big. And so, but they were all learning they were just maybe a few years ahead of me on the learning everything.
Yeah.
But all the stuff comes at you so quick. So every week we'd call and they would be in their office and we'd talk and, hey, I learned this or learned that. And I would ask 2 questions every week. Hey, I ran into a situation about publishing this and that. And everybody would chime in and give me advice, Irv, especially Mona.
That's what's up.
They're very knowledgeable. So, and Clark Kent I met as well.
The DJ.
Yeah. So I met him. And so I was able to kind of get ideas from him. And so learning the game. And then right when the song takes off, the record label comes to me and says, hey, we'd like to offer you a publishing deal. And
is that what you originally came for, like a publishing deal? Like what was the conversation you had with the labels once you had the compilation already prepared?
No, they just wanted Roscoe.
Oh, okay.
They just wanted to sign him. But they also saw I was working with other people. I was working with Freddie Jackson. I still didn't. I'm working with these guys making records, and then I'm doing half of Corrupt's album, and they're just paying me, and I'm doing the deal, but they weren't talking to me about publishing. Full Force was producing records for like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and they were making these pop records.
Yeah.
And so they offered me a publishing deal too. So right at the same time, these people were offering me a publishing deal, and I don't quite understand because we're writing the songs, so we own the publishing.
Right.
So I don't know enough, and they were offering hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. So I go, I didn't say no. I said, let me try to understand what this is. Does it make sense? So I'll go back and through Donald Passman's book, trying to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, still a little confused because publishing is very complicated. And before I could even say yes or no, the film, like, we're looking at one contract for $150,000 advance for the publishing. Publishing works like this. If you come to me and say, Flossie, I want to buy your publishing, it's what's called a co-publishing deal.
Got it.
You'll give me $100,000, and that's considered an advance. So out of that advance, you will now, for a period of time, say 4 or 5 years, get 50% of the money. So basically, all the money I make for 5 years, you now get 50% by giving me $100,000. Right. That's your investment into this business called publishing. And so now I only make 50% of my money for 5 years.
Got it.
After they make the $100,000. So now, a movie comes out called by Harrison Ford called Hollywood Homicide. The record label calls me, say, Flossie, they want this for your for the movie opening credits. Yeah, $200,000. So out of the $200,000, it's $400,000. Out of the $400,000, the label gets $200,000 for the master. The publishing side gets $200,000. I own the publishing. Wow. Bam, $200,000. One check. There you go. And we pay the writers with that money, but it just taught me really quick. Don't be so quick to take the money. Sometimes sit back and think, because I never had to do a publishing deal because of that. Yeah. Now I own 100%. Don't have to split it up. And all because the only reason I would have taken it was for the money and not understanding. I wouldn't say you should always pass on the money, because it just depends on where you are at. You know, if you need the money to pay your rent, take the money. Right. So I learned real quick on the publishing side. And that took off, and then Master P calls me because they want to put that song on their West Coast Bad Boys compilation. Yep. We do a remix with Ant Banks and Mac Dre, and that record does well. And then Brian Turner starts calling me for a lot of projects. Bam, bam, bam. And so we're moving along, and it's still hard. It's not easy. So I'm going back and forth to Snoop's house. I meet a girl by the name of Violet Brown. Okay. Violet Brown was mentioned at that time by Eminem. You know, one of the songs was bragging about, I met my girl Violet Brown. She was the person who ordered the music for Tower Records, Warehouse Records, which is the biggest, brick and mortar store for selling CDs. Now, at that time, you could never put out music without going to a major. And the reason why is because you needed a distributor who could sell to these stores. Got it. They had some that were smaller, but you couldn't actually really get a handle on it. You go through some smaller ones who didn't really have the ability to pull it through. And that's what I was doing at the time. And it's hard to get them in the stores. There was a lot of political things that go on, a lot of greasing people's palm to get for example, if you walk into the store, you go in there, oh my God, there's a shelf right there and your CD's right there. Yeah. That costs money. It's called an end cap. So that means that you're paying for every CD you sell, $1 to $2 to $3 to have it right there. So, but it's better because people see it and the likelihood that they can grab it. So you would take the hit. Yeah. Now, for shelf space, pretty much. Yeah, for shelf space, and it's priority, and it's crucial. So I meet her, and she goes, "I've been hearing a lot about you." This is a white lady, kind of a hippie type of lady, older, but she was really hip to the streets. She had her ear to the curb. And so I go, you have? She goes, I hear you've been doing this and that. More stuff than I know. Wow, that's crazy. So I did that? Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, great. What do I got to do to get you to buy these CDs for me? And she goes, call me, honey. So I call her. She says, come down to the office. I bring a rapper by the name of 40 Glock. Okay. He's a good friend of mine at the time. Yeah. 40 Glock back in the days. I know you guys heard a lot of crazy stuff about him. Really great guy, really connected with the streets. Had a lot of, he ran the streets for the Crips. So he took me around. I hung out for days with a caravan of the homies, and we would go from each hood. He was welcoming all the hoods. Yeah. So, and he knew every rapper you could think of. Whoever you could think of. The dude was kicking up 50 Cent all the time. So we would go from every hood. He'd introduce me to people. He was signed to G Unit for a while. Yeah, he was with G Unit. Yep. So he stayed at 50. He lived with 50 Cent. So for a while, but he's actually from the Inland Empire, where I was from. Yeah. And he took me around because back in the days, I had a lot of issues because I'm a white dude doing black music, and that wasn't something that was normal. Especially, look, I'm super white. I look it anyways. Yeah. Pretty ghetto, but I look super white. Yeah. So people
What's your descent? Are you like Italian? Or?
I'm just a white dude.
Right.
Mixed
American?
white, French, whatever. Just mixed with a butt.
All right. Well, tell me the 23andMe later.
I got to get it. My wife keeps saying, we got to find out. Because I might be part black. Because some people say, dude, you might be black.
Yeah, right.
So,
you definitely got some soul to you.
Yeah,
for sure.
So at this time, I was getting some other up-and-coming camps. Kind of putting the word out like, hey, when we see Flossy, we'll peel his cap back. Because it was like threatening. So what I started doing is going to the hood where I was here that by myself late at night, say, hey, I'm Flossy. And they're tripping on me like, what are you doing? Why would you come to our hood? That's crazy. Right. But then also go, this dude is crazy. What's up? And I go, we can make money together. That was my mentality. We can, instead of fight each other, they're making the money that because everybody's thinking I'm getting the money and I'm kind of pulling money from everybody's pools, so therefore they can't get as much money. Right. And their head that thinking, I go, dude, I'm making the tiny piece of the pie. These guys, crazy money. Yeah. Because I've seen it. Because a lot of people, we hear and see things now because of the internet, but you wouldn't hear it back then. Like, how much did he get? Dude, this guy they keep $500,000 to do this in one day's work. So I started putting that word out. We can get the same money. So started uniting with everybody. And so while I'm doing this, I was going to Snoop's house and I'd see Fred Rec, Battle Cat, all these producers working right in Snoop's home. Yeah. So I didn't want to try to compete with them to take their money or, basically, I was worried that if I did a track with Snoop, maybe these guys wouldn't get paid. And I'm working closely with them on other things too. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. So, but I do need a lane. I need to figure out how I can get more production out there. I started selling CDs at the swap meets, indoor swap meets, and one lady goes, you come back with this, a Korean lady. She goes, we need to look for this. I got black artists. Yeah. And I'm thinking, this is the shit. What are you talking about? I got fired. Yeah. And on the covers, all my black artists on there, and she goes pointing to this Mexican. I pick up these CDs. I heard it 3 times. I'm like, all right. They want to, because basically when you go to swap meets, we sell those CDs for $20 retail. You would sell it to the mom and pops for $10. So you drop off 5. They would buy them too, 5, 10. You got $50, $100. You go run around the whole swap meet, you might make a pull on $1,000. Right. But I got shut down that day. No sales, and they kept 3 out of the 10 people I went to that place said this. So I bought one of the CDs. They make no money and spending money. It's a terrible way to do business. Right. Sure. So I buy the CD. I go back, listen to it. And it's Chicanos, Mexican Americans that are singing, rapping over old school lowrider classic doo-wop music. Literally rapping over the song with no edits, nothing. Like they just heard the song and rapped over it and recorded it. Yeah. This is selling? Let me find out what this was going on. So I start pulling all the homies on the streets. What's the business? Somebody come back, break it down to me, give me a report. What's going on in the streets? They come back. Hey, here's what's hot. None of these artists are on radio. No one's commercially, no one's signed. These guys are slaying stuff. I go, who's the most popular? The guy who's the most popular at the time was Lil Rob. Lil Rob was killing it. So I go, okay, how do we meet Lil Rob? Go find him. Bring him back. He's signed to a label. So that's cool. Let's produce his music. Start producing his music. Ends up going great. He was at the house every day making records. We did work on his whole album. He was signed to an independent record label called Upstairs Records. Yeah. Great group of guys. And so producing his records, the label's paying me to produce them. So I got an obligation to make sure I come up with something that's going to sell for them. Right. So the label's entrusting me to make sure the producer, which is Fingers, and Lil Rob are making great records. And, sometimes they'd hear them like, nah, this or that. So trying to steer the camp, make the artist happy, the producer happy. I come home from work. I had a day job still at the time.
Yeah, but at this point, your position within the label is executive producer?
You would call me the executive producer, yeah. Okay. So basically, the label, this is the way they would typically work. Flossy, here's the check. Bring back these records, we need a hit. And in those days, the job was 3 singles on an album. You have to have 3 songs that would hit the radio. That was the format at the time. So Lil Rob is a Chicano rap artist that does, is a rap, singer. So radio records are different than what you would typically hear on a rap record. Right. There's a formula for radio that you to be successful. So when I came home from work, and by the way, never quit your day job until your hobby turns into more money than your day job. Because ultimately, it's a hobby until it becomes a job. Right. Meaning your job is making you money. And don't quit it because you're thinking like, I will make more. Quit it because you're making money, not before then. It's a tightrope you got to balance, but don't do it. That's what I did. I kept waiting and waiting. I'd work my day job, in the morning till night, come home in the studio till 2, 3 in the morning, back to work every day, Monday through Saturday. And most often I flew on Saturday and taught a motivational seminar on Sunday. Oh. Most of the year I did that. Okay. So I worked Sunday through Monday every day, every week. So anyways, I come home from work one day and they played FLOSSY. They show me what they did for the day. Yeah. Song was called Summer Nights. Okay. So every day just sitting around, but when the sun goes down, you're ready to party. Ain't nothing like them summer nights. Hey, oh. So that record, I heard it, amazing. I go, this is amazing. I love it. I go, this is the one. Little Rob, who's not used to doing those type of records, a little different for him, said he didn't know. Fingers didn't know because it wasn't him. My attitude was like, well, the label's wanting us to do something to take you away from what you're doing to go to the next level. In my head, this is it. So a few days after that, Corrupt, keep in mind I'm driving wherever he's going, I'm driving. Corrupt doesn't drive. So I take Corrupt to a session with, I think it was DJ Quick, Sugar Free was there, and we're doing records up at the studio, and everyone is there, like the Dog Pound, everybody was there that day. Yeah. And a guy by the name of Damian Young, Demiza. Demiza at the time was ranked one of the top 30 most influential people in hip hop. Yeah. From Source Magazine. He was the guy who decided the records at Power 106. If he said these records are going in, they're going in. So he goes.
So you're the program director pretty much, right?
He was pretty much the program. He decided the music. He broke anything you heard from Power 106, those hits, whatever big record at that time, he's the one who broke it. Gotcha. So he decided. So everybody, to meet him would be like an honor. Right. So to me, like, okay, cool, Corrupt goes FLOSSY. This is Demiza. Demiza, if you ever need anything from me or FLOSSY, you just let him know. Demiza, if FLOSSY needs anything, do it. Demiza sat down, great dude, we hung out. So they're playing records, different stuff from Quick and Sugar Free stuff. And I just interrupted and go, hey, can I get your advice? Since you decide music. Right. And it really was not meant to like cram down their throat. Just I wanted an opinion. These are guys that are like places I wish I could be. So why not go to somebody you're looking up to and get their thoughts? Absolutely. Maybe they told me it sucked. I'm like, okay, maybe we shouldn't go after this. But I played the record and everybody lost their mind. Demiza played it back to back a bunch of times. So I called the label, said, dude, this is the next record, because they were iffy too. They told me, yeah, we don't know. So this is the record, I'm telling you right now. And I go, well, we're thinking about, they had, I think, a different plan, like a way to roll them out. They love the record, they said, but maybe not the one. I go, this is the one, you don't even understand, because he's telling me he's going to play it next week. Yeah. I go, this is going to be the one. He goes, well, let me think about it. Their attitude on phone. People, the guy who decides the biggest hits in the world is right here telling me this is the one. Yeah. And you got to think about it. I said, okay, great. Hang up the phone. I was kind of bummed, but I just said, let's see what happens. Right. They play the record, boom, instant. Hit, takes off, goes hardcore. Becomes like number 4. Nice. Top 4 hit. So the label initially was like, I don't know if that was the right move, but I kind of just pulled the strings to run it, and it worked, and it did successful. So that introduced me to this station now said, you got records? Because at that time, it was kind of like in each city, these DJs hated each other. And like I couldn't go take a record across the street to another competing station and play it there, because that station would say, don't ever bring me another record. So it's kind of like a weird area. So I would go to Power 106, which is great, because at the time they were the biggest station, I think, in the country. Yeah. Competing with Hot 97. And so all my records would break there. So I'd bring them there. And I had a bunch by this time I had like 6 or 7 records. Yeah. They were doing great. And I did a song with this artist named Down, aka Kilo. And Kiss FM was playing some of my records, because I started doing like lovey-dovey type of records. Yeah. And Kiss FM was with Ryan Seacrest, and he had a partner that Julie Pilot, and they decided the music. Yeah. So I would go down there, meet up with them. She goes, bring me some more music. We're already playing 2 or 3 of your songs. Super laid back. Come down if you got anything. So I put 7 or 8 songs on a CD on a Friday, dropped it off with her and Ryan, said, hey, listen to this. Tell me what you think. Didn't know she liked him. A number 6 or 7 was Lean Like a Cello.
Yeah.
She heard that record and she lost her mind. And she was like, I'm like liking the song. And in our head, I was like, it was iffy too. I was like, I don't know. And it may not have been, it probably wouldn't have been the record, because this artist had Snoop on records, Nate Dogg, every rapper on the West Coast was on this album.
Right.
So this probably wouldn't have been the record we'd go after. But they literally, when she called me on the weekend, said, I really like it. And I go, well, tell me, if you want to go with it, let me know. On Monday, the song was in full rotation.
Nice.
All day, every day playing that record. That record then translates to other stations. YouTube's starting to come into play now. People are sharing their dances and Lean Like Asian kids, white kids, which our music never even played on, those stations.
Right.
It was black urban music we were doing.
So this is all organic growth.
It was all organic, and it's also something we're learning. Hey, this music is largely being helped because kids are making dance videos, showing themselves dancing to it, and posting it on YouTube. YouTube is fairly new.
Yeah.
So we're starting to understand, like, there's a way to share content through this social media world, which is, I don't even think social media was a thing at the time, or even a word.
Right. What year was this part?
Maybe 2002.
Okay.
Just early. Yeah. So it ended up taking off, and from there just kept escalating. I'm working with Kiki Palmer. I do a deal with, I got the presidents of the label calling me. Normal routine would be like, somebody at the label who decides or discovers new talent would be called A&R.
Right.
And A&R person would find the
artists
talent.
and repertoire.
Yeah. So their job was to find up and coming artists, and they might go to a showcase and see somebody perform at a concert. And then they'd bring them back to the label and say, look what I found. And then everybody would make a decision, should we sign them or not? Most people would brag to me about that. Keep in mind, I'm doing all the stuff with no labels involved. It's just me. And so people go, have you met so-and-so? And I was always a little bit envious. Like, how did you meet the A&R guy? Yeah. How do you meet these people? Where do you meet them? I don't even know. So,
move in the shadows.
See them. Secretive. So now, Jimmy Iovine's calling me. Not the A&R people. I had one meeting this whole time with Interscope. Through a hookup, friend said, hey, Flossie, I know this guy at the Interscope. He basically begged them to take a meeting with me because he had a relationship, but I don't think the person, he's pretty well known. I won't say his name. I don't think he cared 2 shits about meeting with us. Okay. I was excited, like, this is the biggest. When he hears what I got going on, game over. I'm just thinking, like, he's so lucky to meet us, this camp. So I bring the camp down. Yeah. And I got music, listen to different artists, and I'm explaining each artist. And he's like, in the middle of playing these records, he would take a phone call, music's still going, and I'm like, in my head, just put pause and stop right there because you want to hear this. Because I'm so excited about our stuff. Right. I want him to be. Right. And so he's really, I realized 3 or 4 songs in, people walking in saying, hey, I want to talk to you about this, going over paperwork, and in the middle of my music playing, stop. And I'm like, I finally got irritated, and I just go, you know what, dude? Got to push eject. Grabbed the CD and said, man, I appreciate your time. We're going to go. And I walked in. Everybody knew I was mad. People were like, dude, what are you doing? I go, dude, just didn't try to hear us. Right. He doesn't really give he don't care at all that we're here. We're probably more of an inconvenience. Right. And I don't want to meet under these terms. Right. And so we leave. And I felt like I felt this big. So I'm like, I don't even, and it's embarrassing with my whole camp. And so go back to forget it. I don't even want to waste my time with labels. They don't care about us. We just go do our own thing. Exactly. So now the presidents are calling. This particular guy was in the meeting, he was the guy that did that. Yeah. But then Jimmy calls me and goes, hey man, what's up? I go, what's up? He goes, where you going? I go, I'm meeting with Jimmy. He's like, what? And so you go in and Jimmy closes the door. Walk out and the guy goes, man, let me holler at you. I go, what's up? And he goes, man, get at me. And I'm like, why would I need to get at you?
Is this the same dude that will kind of ignore you?
Yeah, the same guy, because he works with Jimmy. So I'm walking past his office to the boss's office. I got you. Jimmy's the main dude. He signed Eminem, he signed Dre, he signed, you name it. But so anyways, now he's calling me for different projects. And I'm co-producing, getting involved in records, and I got a situation going on. Then Mike Karen, who runs Atlantic Record, called on me for doing similar things. And Mike is a really great guy because he's going, hey, I got this new artist, B.O.B. We got this song called Airplane. I want to try. What do you think? Now we're bouncing ideas off each other. Right. And he would come to the studio, work with me on records. He'd because he loved to really get creative on the records. Most presidents, they just cut checks, kind of direct traffic a little bit, but they weren't the creatives.
Right.
Mike Karen involved. Hey, Flossie, I got this guy named Flow Rider. We're trying YouTube. We're gonna try some marketing. So we get ideas like what's working and what's not working on YouTube, what's working on social media, things that work. So now I'm getting information, giving him information, what I did that worked. And it started streamlining, started going faster and faster. Went through Mike Karen. I did Kiki Palmer. It was a Nickelodeon and Disney deal. Made the most money off of one song I've ever made. They paid me $75,000 for the song.
Beautiful.
But just going, and then as it progressed, in comes the owner of Priority Records. Brian Turner is good friends with Mac 10.
Yep.
He tells Mac 10 to call me because Mac needed help with his label. So this guy really knows. He's telling Mac, this guy kind of has a handle on the streets.
Who Banging Records, right?
Who Banging Records. And so I work with Mac on some records. Mac is like he's smart, but he's very street, and he's also very stubborn. He don't like change. He's like, what he does is the right way. And he goes, man, Brian told me to call you, but I don't even understand what you do. And I go watch. And then we did a record. It worked out really good. It was successful. Because not only if I get paid to produce a record, I'm going to push it too. Because I want our production to be out there in the forefront. So I want to make sure the record is successful.
Yeah.
So Mac ends up calling me. We go have a bite to eat a couple times. And he goes,
not to interrupt. So when you do that, when you push the record, right, because you're a producer as well, does that qualify you to make more money as a different position when you're pushing?
No, it's like I learned this from Little John.
Okay.
So Little John, Lil John had a group. And Little John was trying to get in the game. He was okay, but he knew that if he got with a big artist, it would become successful. So, who was it? Usher had that song. Usher and Lil Jon. What was that song called?
Oh, Lovers and Friends?
No, the first song.
The first song? Yeah. Wait, with Ludacris.
Yeah, Lil Jon was on that, right?
Yeah, Lil Jon, Ludacris.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that record, he was on it. Usher was super biggest thing ever, right? R&B artist. The label didn't want to push that record. Lil Jon paid for the marketing and promotion on that record to take off without the label at all. Spend his own money, because in his head, if this record breaks, I'm going to be big. And because he marketed and promoted that record, it started taking off. The labels didn't get behind it, and now Lil Jon is now a household name.
Nice.
So that's a great strategy. So the idea is like, don't be like, I'm not getting paid to do it. Think like, if this wins, we all win.
Right.
And that was the mentality. I need this to work, because if it goes, I will get more opportunities. So sometimes it's good to invest your money, even if you're not getting the return on it for doing that, because ultimately, if you become a household name, it's a wrap. You will get other opportunities to make that money. So that was the theory behind doing that. So Mac 10 calls me and says, hey, man, I think I want you to help me with my label. And I think Brian Turner was kind of steering me that direction. Yeah. So we took a couple meetings, and I was pretty big in the Universal house, meaning like Universal Music Group. Universal, what happens is Universal Music Group, has a bunch of labels under them. A bunch of big labels too. You would consider them big labels, major labels. And
but they're the umbrella.
They're the umbrella. They're the ones that put your music everywhere. And so what would happen is if you have a label under them, you would be the independent label. But then when you have a record, which Mac 10 had Who Bangin', which was under the umbrella. And what would happen is you would go to the label, go, hey, I got a new record out, or excuse me, the distribution outlet, Universal Music Group. Yeah. And you would say, I got a new record. And you do like this presentation, a little song and dance, like this album's gonna be so big. We got so-and-so on it, so-and-so on it. Whatever album you had, it was the biggest album ever. Right. Their whole staff would sit there and listen to it. And the idea was marketing, promotion, whatever, radio, the whole staff would listen to your album. And the idea for doing this is they would go, after our meeting, their little song and dance, like two-step. You're trying to hype it up, the dog and pony show. You leave, and then they're gonna go, hey, this could work here. I got this going on in Chicago. All the team amongst themselves would say, brainstorm. Yeah, they would say this could work. And the reason you would do that is because by the end of it, the next day you would get a phone call, Flossie, I'm willing to advance $150,000, $200,000 for the marketing and promotion for this. So the better your song and dance, the bigger the check, the bigger the project's going to be, because the more money you have, the more advertising you get.
Right.
So that's the reason we did that.
Got
So
it.
Mac was thinking, I'm gonna bring Flossy to these meetings because he's good in those places. They like him, they trust him. Because I was pretty consistent on making, there weren't any albums that I did that didn't make a profit. So I would usually make about 8 times my investment.
Right.
So, and it was all my own money. So if I spend 150, I'm gonna make 8 back, 8 times that. And so the label saw me, they trusted me, Universal Music Group did. So Mac thought, and Brian would tell him, like, this dude probably would be able to help you.
Yeah.
So we go in there, we do the deal, and I became partners with Mac and was the president of Hooping.
Nice.
And then we'd go in there and, sell them and then get the money back. Bam, we'll put out an album and just keep flipping it.
Yeah.
So that's how that all came about.
Beautiful.
And Mac's a great guy, very smart, big, he's a hustler, like a real hustler. And so,
And this was still like in the early 2000s, right?
like 2004 or 5.
Okay.
Not mid, I guess, but we're still mid, right?
Right.
So, but 2004 or 5, we started doing that. And then Glasses Malone, we had a record called Certified with Akon that did really well.
That's my guy. Shout out to Glasses, man.
And Mac 10 was really close with Lil Wayne and Baby. And so that's where the Certified record, we did a joint venture with Baby, with Glasses and Baby. And that record, and the reason why we did that is
Mac was with Cash Money for a while, right?
both of us at the same time.
Got it.
We needed Baby's reach. So Baby had Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne reached a lot of urban markets in the South and Midwest that I could never get to because they didn't play West Coast music.
Right.
And Glasses was a West Coast artist. And so I needed help. So did Mac reached out to Baby, said, can you help us? We did a joint venture with them. And then by doing that record Certified, he hit all those markets there's no way I could touch.
Right.
So bam, the record takes off, and then we're able to get it going.
Sweet.
So that's how, and Glass is such a great neutral party for everybody. Everyone loves him, and he's not like so tied into where like you would think, oh, he's from this gang or he's from that. He was just accepted, embraced by every artist. Every artist would work with him for no money. Everybody, Lil Wayne would send him a track, if he wanted a track from anybody, they would give it to him. Because he's so affiliated with the streets on a neutral zone. And so he's just a great guy. So basically we started doing that, and then I started transitioning because running a label is a lot of work. Overwhelming, stressful. Like you're responsible for the money coming in and making sure the money comes back. And also the artists are looking for you to make them famous. So there's a lot of pressure with that.
Right.
Running the label is definitely a lot of work, and there's a lot of pressures from all sides. I'm responsible for spending the least amount of money and making sure we get the most back.
Right.
Also, the artists that we're signing are looking to me to make them famous.
Right.
And that's like their careers are in your hands.
Yes.
And it's very stressful.
Could imagine.
So,
man.
I didn't like that part of it. It's cool to have the job, but it's very stressful. And there's other ways you can make money, like without those pressures,
Yeah. And I'm glad you highlighted that, because a lot of artists, they tend to chase this dream so much. And over time, when they see it's not working, sometimes they still try to force the issue. But it's like they don't realize there's other avenues that they can just take a seat back from being an artist and maybe run a label or be an A&R and then make some money doing that way to then fund their career in the future. But a lot of artists just stay in that hard-headed mentality. I want to be an artist. I want to be an artist. Next they're 40.
Yeah. What I would tell artists, and especially artists that get a break, like they make a bunch of money or their songs taken off. No matter what, an artist is going to reach a peak and they're going to start making less and less money as an artist. What I always tell people, like, dude, if you get some money, put some of that money into another revenue stream, whatever that is, preferably outside of music. Maybe it's film, TV or whatever. But take that money where if I put 100, 200K over here, I can make 2,000 or 3,000 with little or no effort every month for 20 years. Right. That would be the smart thing to do.
Real estate,
flip, investment, maybe if there's some type of business that's running that need a little upstream of money, you can kind of throw that in there and get a 5-10% back on that. There's so much opportunity that you can do that And it may not be the thing you like to do, but it may be a thing that just makes you more money.
Yeah.
So ideally, that's what I tell you. Real estate is really good, like apartment duplexes and things like that. And you have somebody manage it, so there's no work involved.
Right.
So things like that. But ultimately, music, it was harder to make money with the new streaming. You're getting 0.004 cents a stream, and you still got to spend money to get the artists out there. So I kind of let me fall back on that, and I started a digital distribution company. So I have kind of like maybe TuneCore, CD Baby.
Yeah.
But I provide marketing services that are really great within there to the members in there.
What do you charge the artists for that?
I believe it costs $100 to set up when you first go in there, and then you have your own platform. And then you can buy all the services. It's strictly online. I do have people that can answer questions and help you while you're on there. But it's something I want it to be more hands-off. Still make sure it's amazing services. I try to make it the most amazing marketing services that are affordable. They're all guaranteed. So like the cool thing about it is like
annual subscription or just one time $100?
It's $100 setup.
Got it.
So yeah.
Okay.
So basically you can go in there. The cool thing about it is like I guarantee services. So most artists are looking around trying to get marketing, playlisting, advertising. They might go somewhere, one, they got ripped off completely. They don't know the people, they just kept their money, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, you didn't get what you paid for. Like, hey, I thought it was gonna be this, thought it was gonna be that. I spell everything out, here's what it is. And I also offer these services, I sub them out. But in order for me to sub them out, I charge a little bit of markup, but the person has to provide a cheaper price than they charge everyone else, so I can cover my little commission that I make off of it.
Yeah.
And also that I guarantee it. So meaning like, I always test all these services out for a period of time with a bunch of artists. If they're great, consistent, like I say, if I pay the guy to do 10 different things, I got to make sure 10 out of 10 that came back perfect.
Right.
Because I offer to my people, if it doesn't come back the way I promised, you get your money back.
Exactly.
And so, of course, that person will be out of the system. So the goal is to make sure that everybody gets an amazing price, cheaper than go anywhere else, but also amazing service and the guarantee. So it's safe when you go in. That's what I like about the best about it. So we have thousands of public traded company. We have thousands and thousands of clients. It's going really well. I paid Method Man to be the face of the company.
Sweet.
So I'll get another artist to, I'll switch them off every now and then just to promote that this is my company. It's a trusted company. And I'm looking to distribute this album, the Wu-Tang album that's coming out.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to add that to it. But I got a lot of records that are doing amazingly well on there, on the platform. So that's a business I created. Took a long time to put it together. It's a lot of work. Now I try to be a little bit more hands-off. And then I have a film and television network, What's Good Entertainment. And I have my podcast. 4 podcasts that I produce. I'm adding more to it.
Beautiful.
And then I also distribute movies to the platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and Tubi, and all those things like that.
When it comes to talent, like what do you look for in talent before you decide to work with them? Now, at this day and age.
As far as music?
Both music or content creators.
Okay. So as far as music goes, it's really less about talent, unfortunately. Because when I started, it was about finding talent. Right. And that really was the thing, because if we found the talent, I could secure a record deal if they believe in the talent, and then they would promote the guys through the A&R people. They would build them up, create music, and do all of that stuff. Today, because the talent can do it on their own, the talent can skip the whole step of going to the A&R and then impressing the A&R, and the A&R goes to the president and said, "Hey, will you sign them?" You can skip that step by putting out. You can do a song today and put it out on video tonight. Right. And now we can bypass guessing if an artist, the fans, because ultimately we might think something's amazing, but the fans still have to like it. So we need to, the whole idea is try to get, a record label used to spend millions of dollars, put a song out there to see if people would even like the person.
To extract the data.
Yes. So now they can go, the artists are already doing that. They're already doing that on their own. So you don't necessarily have to like the person. You might think the music's horrible. And the reality is, I don't need to like the music for it to be a hit. The fans need to like it. If the overwhelming numbers say this guy's amazing, then whether I like the song or not is immaterial. Right. The reality is it amazing? So you can't really look for talent and think, oh, because this guy's amazing, it's gonna go. It doesn't work like that. But what we can do, and people go, that sucks, you're just, basically just investing in artists that are making money. And that's really the reality. it's a business.
Right.
So I'm looking for, each artist is a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for their business to be generating revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, you wouldn't go buy a taco stand, because I get this a lot. Flossie, this person's amazing, you gotta hear him. You wouldn't go buy a taco stand that had the best tacos in the world, but no business.
Mm.
You're better off going down the street and buying the taco stand that has shitty tacos and making $500,000 a year.
I got you. Now to that point, if there was a diamond in the rough, right? What qualities do they have to possess if they don't have the data that supports that fans like their music? Like if they just have hot music and you hear it, you're like, yo, this shit is crazy, but they got no following, got no numbers. They pretty much been writing, creating these records, looking for an opportunity to meet somebody like you. Would you take a chance on that?
No, not today. You know why? Because look, the reality is, whatever, I'm going to find someone, whatever I think is amazing about you, I'm going to find the identical person, the identical sound, and I'm going to put you with 50 other guys who sound similar to that or fairly close to it and look exactly like it. Maybe you talk the same, maybe you say the same, exact same words. I'm going to find 10 other people like that on social media, and I'm going to pick the person that has the biggest following engagement. Because the reality is, there's so many people, now you're competing with the same type of people, but one guy, you have the same people, one happens to have more numbers. So why would you go with somebody who has less numbers that has the same quality?
That makes sense.
And it's not, to be honest with you, like what happens is when you find an artist, if we want the artist, hey, this guy's got fire beats. I'll go get the hottest producer in the world to make a track for him.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
If I want the biggest art, if I want Lil Baby to be on the record, I'll put Lil Baby on the record. Once you get into the major labels, it's just cutting checks.
Yeah.
So the reality is, it's better to have an artist that has the momentum, so it makes smarter sense to invest in money because you already see they're making money. Yeah. Typically what labels do now is they look at it and go, how much money is the artist making per year from their streaming royalties? They look at that number, they say it's $100,000 a year. They go, he's making $100,000 a year. So if I give this person $200,000 cash right now, worst case scenario, if we don't even promote them, in 2 years, they get their money back. So that's the way they look at it. They look at it as a real business. And so now you're going to find artists every now and then will get signed that don't have any traffic, but they're just amazing. But they're usually getting signed by an artist or somebody that's an independent label that just loves them or believes in them, or they know like, hey, I'm good friends with Post Malone. Post Malone's agreed to like, basically get behind him, if you would, and he'll get on a record or whatever. Now those are little plays like, you would say that's like a risky investment, but if you have it already set up, you would say, yeah, I'm going to go do this because I got all these moves I'm going to make. You're still risking it because if you go out there and do this, you still got to spend it and promote it. Even if you have everybody in the world on a song, it's a guessing game. Will the fans like them? Because you're coming with nothing. Right. How do you know anybody likes them? And the reality is like, somebody will say, well, he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the team, he doesn't have this. Instagram's free, TikTok's free.
What about if he has offers on the table? No data, no nothing, but offers on the table from like a Sony and Universal, but he's still shopping. And they come across.
But he has no traffic?
But no traffic.
But why would the labels be interested in him?
Because of what he has, his catalog.
Oh, he has music, but nobody's listening to the music.
Right, he hasn't put it out, he just has music.
That might be interesting. It might be interesting to listen to it and see what's there. Like if I feel like for example, if I feel like there's some, say for example, he cleared one of the hardest records in the world to clear. He did the paperwork and that song's on his playlist and it's ready to go. Yeah. Like, that might be interesting. Stevie Wonder co-wrote a song with him and it's cleared, the paperwork's done. Like, that might be interesting. Things like that I might think like, what I might think is even if I say I may not be able to sign him as an artist, maybe what I think like, I know how I can make money with him.
There's a play there.
Yeah, I'll do that regardless. If there's a way to make money, I'll figure it out real quick. So sometimes that does work. Like you told me you had a record with a top 10 artist and it's clear, I can go make money with it for sure. Love it. So, I mean, you don't necessarily need a record label for that. You can just, I could just go connect dots and make money.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm about making money. I really don't even like to sign artists because I like to do it like this. My attitude is I'm the guy that has the money or brings the money to the table. I don't need to sign you to tell me to take a percentage of your money forever because I'm the guy that's getting the money to give to you.
Right.
So if I want my commission, I'll just take it out. So if it's $100,000, I go, you cool with 80 grand? You're gonna go, fuck yeah, run it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. We'll do a contract for that deal, but I don't need to own you to do that.
Right.
My attitude is like, and Mac 10 is hardcore about this. You eat what you kill. Right. I don't need to own you just to get my claws into you, so I get 20% of whatever you make for forever. Because my attitude is like, I don't need you to go make me money. Yeah. I'll go make money. I just need to participate, and you're gonna make money. Right. So that's the way I like to do it that way, because then it's less pressure on all parties. Now you might be like, Flossie, I need to make money, and I'm trying to get you money, but I'm not obligated to. I'm just doing it because I want us to both make money, or I need you to make money. But ultimately, I don't do that. I do have an artist, Lil Maru, who's killing the game right now, put in a lot of work, and we're at 2.7 million streams this week. We're averaging that every week, but our numbers just doubled, and so he didn't have a big following on TikTok. He didn't have he had 40,000 on Instagram. Right. He actually had 0. He didn't have a TikTok account. But his shit was working.
Is there AC in here? Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Hey.
I'm
No worries.
How did you know we were coming?
Right, we're bringing in the red
We're
carpet.
ready to introduce you. You guys want to sit down?
It's okay, no worries. Thank you so much.
What did they showing the property?
Right, yeah. So that's the leasing agent. They're still building, man. They're building 2 more other buildings.
This place sells itself. It looks like a resort.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're gonna have 4 buildings, and then the whole acre is pretty much gonna have storefronts in each ground level. So tenants don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, there's by my house. Somebody just put that in there, something like that. Everything's there. Stores, everything. Things you need. Restaurants, right? They started building restaurants around it because people figured, there's 5,000 people here. Right. So why not? But yeah.
And then the next year they jacked the rent up by $1,000.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. My friend was just telling me that his son just rented an apartment for $2,800 a month. Janky old apartment. Yeah. $2,800. I'm like, dude, that's more than my mortgage. Why would you do that?
And the Fed just boosted the rate yesterday.
I know. I just told my wife saw, how does that affect anybody? I go, babe, listen. The more, because my wife saw, let the richer pay. I go, no, we're like, you keep saying like, the rich, I go, that fucks up us. Right. I don't consider myself rich, but we make the money they're talking about.
Yeah, we're in a different tax bracket. Yeah.
So she doesn't seem, that doesn't grasp. Like when she said I go, babe, listen, when interest rates go up, business owners and people with money are buying things. They're paying more interest, which means the services they're providing have to increase so they can pay the interest. Right. She was like, oh, I go, so that means it trickles down to the poor guy. And the poor guy's going to buy a bunch of bananas. Instead of paying 54 cents for a bunch, they're going to pay $1. That's what's going to happen. And I go, that's why it's important to watch that number. Right. That tilts the whole game. So
you own property?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, I own a couple of houses. So.
Sweet.
I own my house, but outright, so.
Okay, so you're pretty much a landlord renting it out?
No, the other house, my kids have it. Okay. So they don't pay anything. But my house that I have that own outright is valued at $1.1 million.
Sweet.
So the cool thing about property, I understand the theory that you could actually sell, you could rent and smarter to rent versus own. There's a strategy behind that, which I understand. It frees up your money. You can do this and that. There's things, hey, what would you do if you had 50 grand? You could flip that and turn it to 100. Right. But the reality is, like, if I ever went through some tough times, I could pull it out of my house. It's like, I'm putting my money in my bank. Yeah. And the money's there. It's like, yeah.
When did you buy it?
97.
Oh my God, so, that equity is nice.
Oh yeah. So I bought it for 200 grand. So yeah.
That's unheard of.
Oh yeah. So it's ultimately like,
At least here. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm tripping out.
In Texas, you can get some sweet for like $300,000-$400,000.
Yes, I have friends that went to Houston and bought mansions. Yeah. Great property. I have a friend that just bought a lake. What do you buy? It's $400,000. He bought a lake, a mansion. Not like a mini mansion like we have in California. Right. Like people come to my neighborhood, it's a mini mansion. No, it's just a house. Right. You go there's a mansion. Yeah. 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, looking like a mansion. Pool. He has a pond, a little mini lake. Yeah. And a deck. Like you can go park a boat, drive it around, and he owns I think it's 10 acres. 400 something grand.
Jesus Christ.
I think it's 4 something. But yeah.
You bought that recently?
Yeah. Like, I want to say last month.
Oh my God.
I go, dude, are you kidding? I guess it's a lake. more like a pond to me, but it's like you can put a boat in. I guess it's a lake, right?
Yeah.
But dude, it's your own.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I think there's on the other side you can put your little deck out, but it's really it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not like a place I would want to live, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like I always thought about it because I made it so I can work from home. I don't have to go anywhere. I have to travel every now and then for events and things,
Yeah.
but I'm getting paid to do that. But the reality is, it doesn't matter where I travel to because I'm still jumping on a plane, coming back to the airport.
Yeah.
If I could have everything, like imagine this is your house, like just everything in here you're gonna have, like you're talking about. You don't need to go anywhere.
Right.
If you had all that theater next door, you had a little mini bowling lane. Why would you
go anywhere?
Why not live in Texas? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Air conditioning, you know?
Exactly. So, man, what do you do to relax, bro? Because it sounds like you're a workaholic since back in the day. You had a job running a record label, doing motivational speakers. You got a wife, you got kids.
Yes.
What do you do to balance?
But that is a little weird thing. Like doing gangster rap music, it used to be very violent. A lot of chaos, a lot of gang shit. And of course, you end up right in the middle of it and you have to deal with that. Good or bad, it's what you just part of our
That's what you
business.
signed up for, yeah.
And so that part was very stressful, but what I learned to do, like about you would get angry. Like I would lose my mind. I was like, I'd snap in a second, like, it's a wrap. Go handle that. I was that guy, you know, like, but when things started calming down, I started just before COVID. You got, like you say, you got a lot of things coming your way. People hit you. Like one day you hit like 3 or 4 people hit you problems back to back, and you're just kind of getting stressed. So one day I decided I live in the hills. So I decided, fuck it, I'm going to go for a walk. And I don't really exercise, which is probably the smart thing to do if you relieve stress. I walked like 4 miles in the hills, in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so I felt so good. Like that day was a stressful day. Problems went away. So I said, I'm going to start doing this on a regular basis. I was winded too, so I'm just out of shape.
Yeah.
So now every single day I walk that trail. Every day. And I don't stress anymore. I don't feel stressed for some reason. I don't feel it. And maybe because things are going good, but also I just don't feel it. I'm not angry.
Yeah.
Like you could probably spit in my face before you might lose your life.
Right.
But today, like you could probably spit in my face and be disrespectful to me. And if I knew that if I could wipe that spit off and we can still do business together, I ain't got 2 problems with it. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm straight. I'd be like, so about that $100 grand we're talking about.
Right.
I could literally be that guy. Before I'd be like, no, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money's on the table. Now to me, it's like, I'm more likely to clear up a horrible situation, violent, in 2 seconds and peaceful about it. You can say all the horrible things to me. You can do some horrible things to me and I would get over it.
So it become therapeutic for you, these walks.
100%.
You got a relationship with God?
You know what? I believe in God. And I pray when, I thank him when things are going great. I said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And every now and then when the shit hits the fan, I pray that it goes good. I definitely do. And I, make sure I pray for my kids, health and make sure everything going good in their life. My wife, especially, make sure everything's good for everybody. But I don't go to church or anything like that. I definitely believe there's a God.
Yeah, I actually just started going to church most recently to Shepherds in Porter Ranch, man. And just receiving that word every week, it just does something to me as far as bringing things into perspective, right? You know what I'm saying? Because during the pandemic, my whole priorities shifted. I was just rapping, music, entertainment, let's go. And then when that lockdown happened and everything changed, I was like, whoa, hold up. Get into real estate. Let me start making these moves and position myself accordingly. So it's not happening. My family's straight. And through God, you know what I'm saying, praying every day and just asking for knowledge, for forgiveness from my past and just direction. It was just, things just started pouring in like in my lap, like a different opportunity. You should be doing this. And that kind of brought clarity to how I need to position myself to do other things. But
do you think
essentially my mission is to help people.
Right. Do you think, because this is interesting. So sometimes at the end of the day, as a man, when things come at you, it's just, you got to deal with it. There's no backup. Both my parents are dead. I'm not calling nobody. It's on me. Meaning the buck stops here, right? Good or bad. So you can't call nobody. There's no help. I got to either fix it, deal with it, or just suck it up. One of the two, good or bad. Sometimes I think if you have in your head, there's a higher power. No, this doesn't have to lay heavy on my chest. I could call the man upstairs, get some knowledge, and I got a backup plan. I think that sometimes is part of the thing that does make you feel good. Like you do have support. You're not alone in this world.
Right.
And so I think that might have something to do with the weight. Like the life is heavy, dude. For everybody. It's not. The life is heavy for wealthy people, a lot of successful friends, and things aren't always good because you got money. Money eases up a lot of daily stress, but if you're not a good person, or if you just have bad luck, life can be very bad for a rich person too.
Yeah.
And very stressful, and sometimes worse, because people look at you like you got it all.
Yeah.
What are you bitching about?
Right.
And their shit might be terrible too. So, and then again, you see poor people, homeless people. I remember a homeless dude asked, my kids started laughing at me. I had my two sons with me. A homeless dude said, hey, I'm broke. I need money. I go, are you homeless? And he goes, yeah. And I go, dude, you're not broke. You're even.
Right.
I go, I got mortgages. I got car payments. I got bills. I owe $60,000. I started just laying all my problems on them.
Yeah.
You're in a good spot.
Right.
I'm negative. You're here trying to get here. I'm here trying to get to where you're at, bro.
Wow.
And I'm trying to get even. You are even. And everyone started laughing. But the reality is that's so true.
Yeah.
It's still stress. It's just different. Their stress is get enough money for food for the day. I can't just do that.
Right.
I got to get food for today, tomorrow, 6 months. I got to pay these bills for this month.
Exactly.
So there's so much, and it's just life. And that's true for everybody but a homeless person. And it's almost, if you thought about a homeless life, imagine if every day your job was to wake up, your only concern was to get $5. Now it might be a little harder to get $5 for you because you don't have the means, transportation, you have to go to someone and beg for it.
Right.
But you know it's out there.
Yeah.
But once you get that, you're done. Your day's finished. And that's sometimes I think about like a physical labor job. How fulfilling it would be. You go to work for 8 hours. The alarm clock goes off. Everyone's off work. You're done.
Yeah. You
go home, pop open a drink, watch the game. You're done. You don't have to think about it. You're done. Me, my phone, my wife complains about it. This phone right here is right in bed with me.
Yeah.
Because I got business going on in Japan, Thailand, England.
Yeah.
My phone can ring, and I got to take the call and deal with it. And while I go to sleep, I'm thinking about things I need to do first thing when I wake up every single night.
Right. Same.
So it's definitely, life is overwhelming. And I don't feel sorry for myself because I chose this.
Yeah.
And I love it. To be honest with you, I think I have the best job in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
And the coolest job too.
Right, of course.
People trip out on me like, dude, like my kids too, like, man, you can just kick it at the house and get that kind of money coming in. And the reality is like, it's there now, but I had to build it.
It wasn't overnight.
Yeah. That movie where they have the baseball Field of Dreams.
Yep.
You build it. Yeah, you build it, they will come. So if you build it, they will come. Sometimes it takes a long time to build it.
Yes.
But you gotta, in your head, you gotta plan and just know. Artists always ask me this. What if I had money, would I become successful? Or how much would it take for me to blow up? And the reality is, you're gonna blow up if you wanna blow up. If you know and believe you're gonna blow up, you will blow up. If you just want to, you may not. You may, but you may not. What I mean by that is like, if you're willing, like for me, there's no reason I should be successful where I'm at right now. Everything was against me. A white dude doing gangster rap music. Doesn't even make, at that time, didn't even make sense. Didn't know anybody. Didn't know anybody in the music industry at all. Didn't know anybody with money at all. I didn't know anybody. I went and found everybody and brought them to me and created it, built it and built it and grew and grew and grew. Same thing with an artist. If you have money, if your mentality is, I'm going to make it at all costs, no matter what, I'm going to make it. You will make it because I know people that have done it.
Right.
Money will only get you there faster. Meaning like money will get you money. The money will get you advertisement and promotion, but you can do that with no money.
Right.
You can upload music to TikTok and Instagram for free. Money will just move the process quicker. So if you are that guy that I'm making it no matter what, in 5 years it might take you, the money might shave off 3 years. So in 2 years you make there faster.
Yeah.
But if you know and believe that you're going to make it, you will. 100%. Like for me, if I start something, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to do this. And it might seem crazy. When I started doing music business, people laughed at me. They thought I told them, I literally told people what I was going to do, and I did exactly what I told them. And I went to a party one night, good friends at FLOSSY, I want to tell you. Because I approached people that wanted to be partners with me.
Right.
They go, we all laughed at you behind your back. And you did it to the T. What happened, #1 record on radio, this and that. I did exactly what I told them, and it happened.
Wow.
Now, I told my kids the other day, like, a while back, a couple years ago, I'm going to start this film and television network. And I want it to be like Netflix. It's going to be harder because I don't have Netflix money, unlimited money pouring in, but I'm going to do this. And they actually believe me. They're like, well, he's going to do that. Because I've done everything I've ever said. That they wait for the situation to be right. Meaning, I'm going to wait till I get a new couch. I'm going to wait till I get better lighting. I'm going to wait till I get a better camera. And then I'm going to shoot this masterpiece. And the reality is that's the better way to work is work with what you got, whatever you have, and put it out. Because if you put it out, the little bit of success you have, and you will have success. Sometimes it could be one person watching, that's success. If it's 10 people, it's success. So it'll be more successful than you just sitting and thinking about it. Take the content, put it out. The next one, it will get better. And the next one will get better and better and better. In the meantime, you'll have gained so much experience, and you'll also have gained a fan base by putting it out. But most people wait. They wait till the conditions are perfect. And by waiting, they've lost time, momentum, and the game could have changed. Technology changed. Just everything changes. But yeah, that's the reality of it. I mean, ultimately, whatever you got, if you're an artist, get music, put it up on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, whatever you use, put it up. If you're doing skits, which is great, put that content out. Put it out, work on the next one. Put it out, work on the next one. While you're doing that, you're going to see things like, even for me with the podcast, you would think since I ran this multi-million-dollar business, it should be easy for me. Well, that's a different world. Film and TV is completely different than music. It's close, but completely different. So I'm still working out kinks. Every time I put out something, I put something up that takes off one day. What did I do different on this one? It comes down to sometimes what time did I put it out? When did I upload the content? What day did I upload the content? Why was Tuesday at 2 o'clock different than Monday at 2 o'clock? These are all things that you've got to start implementing. And you only learn that from consistency. So I would say the first thing, what happened? Because that's why people always say, what have you done? It's your resume. Go put it out. If you think it's crappy, it may be amazing to someone else. Look at Napoleon Dynamite. The first time these kids told me to watch this, way back when it was just, nobody really heard of it. Kids at school were saying, my son's like, you gotta watch this, all the kids are talking about it. It was, nobody even knew of the movie. I watched it and I was like, first time I watched it was stupid. And it was half because in my head I gotta do things, this and that. And another time, sit down, have a drink, I watch it, I laugh my ass off. And I realized that this movie is actually funny. Once you absorb it, and it's a cheap movie. I think the reason I was laughing that it was so cheap, that these guys had the balls to put this out, but it's hilarious. And you realize it's just them just being stupid. And just making a mockery of what they got. That movie's probably made more money than most movies. And they spent minimal money. I mean, the acting, I think, was overall, if you reflect on it, the acting is probably pretty amazing with Napoleon. And the dance, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but ultimately, just imagine. So that's the hurdle. A lot of people, they're embarrassed because, and I'm embarrassed. Like I post stuff on TikTok and Instagram all the time, not because I want to and I'm trying to be famous. I'm just trying to keep my business afloat. And I know it's such a social media world that as old as I am, I'm doing rapping, dance, or whatever to keep the attention on, not until you watch me dance or watch me rap or do whatever, something goofy. And so the other things fit in and my business flourishes. So you go to my site and say, hey, this guy's cool. I'm willing to make fun of myself for everybody to see how goofy I am. So you'll come and go, whoa, this guy's got a podcast. So sometimes you just got to do what works. I mean, obviously don't jeopardize your personality or yourself, but I mean, I'm a goofy guy, just in public. But I'm willing to show the world I would normally be a goofy dude to people I know. I'm not going to let typically share it, but I'm willing to let the world know I'm a goofball. As much as I'm doing this hardcore gangster music, I'm a clown. And people that know me know that. But now I'm willing to let the world know just so I can draw you in and do other things so we can all flourish.
Hell yeah. Love it, man. Well, Flossy, man, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
This is a great conversation. I can't wait to chop it up and put the promo.
Chop it, screw it.
Oh, man. This has been another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Johnny Vegas. Flossy the boss.
Yes,
let the people know where they can follow you, where they can acquire the services, everything like that.
Yeah, if you want to watch any of my podcasts, go to What's Good Entertainment. And if you want to check me out, I got a pretty entertaining Instagram. Go to Flossy the Boss, THE Boss. FLOSSY Boss. And I'm the biggest boss you ever saw.
Thus far, you heard. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you get you some of that Sleep is for Billionaires merch. Yes. Stay tuned for more episodes to come, and thank you for watching. God bless.
Amen.
I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a